Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zolotech, and today Apple announced the phones we pretty much suspected at this point, the iPhone XS, the XS Max, and the XR. They look exactly like we thought they would. There weren't really many surprises, except for some internals that are pretty impressive. So let's talk about those, and then Apple also announced a new Apple Watch Series 4. This is a Series 3, but the Series 4 is also pretty impressive, and all of them come out fairly soon, so let's take a look at what's new. So the first thing you need to know is they launched three different phones: the iPhone XS, the XS Max, because it's bigger than Plus, so they wanted something larger, and then the XR. And these two we'll talk about first, and then we'll talk about this one later, since this one comes out later. Now, the first thing you need to know is this is actually a dummy unit, and it's exactly like the final version will look. It'll come in a silver, gold, and space gray. Gold is the new color, and it has IP68 water certification, water dust resistance. That does not mean you can go swimming with it. It just means it's resistant. Both the XS and the XS Max will have that. The XR, which is the name of this one, will not have that. That'll still have IP67. Now, the major thing on these devices are the displays, and on both of them, we're going to have a 5.8-inch on the iPhone X. Basically, it looks identical, and then the XS or XS Max, depending on what you're going to call it, it's really XS Max, has a 6.5-inch OLED display. Both of them now support HDR10, super color accurate, and both have wider stereo sound, so they should sound a lot better out of their stereo speakers. Now, a lot of people heard a little bit mistakenly in the keynote about the display. The display is 120 hertz sensitive, so the actual screen is sensitive up to 120 hertz, but it is not a ProMotion display like the iPad Pro. So the display is just a 60 frames per second display like we've always had. Now, the major news between all of these devices is the new A12 Bionic chip. It's the first 7-nanometer chip, and it can do up to 5 trillion operations per second. Now, to put that in perspective, the iPhone X does 600 million billion operations per second. This can do 5 trillion operations per second. It has a 6-core with 2 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. It can use all of those 6 cores at once, and they're more low power than the previous generation. It also has a 4-core GPU, an 8-core neural engine for machine learning in real time, faster Face ID, gigabit LTE, and then when we get to the cameras, these have been updated with new sensors as well. And the sensors that are in here also carry over to here. So basically the sensor that's in the top one will be in this one as well. But what we have are dual 12 megapixel cameras. One is an f1.8 wide angle, the other is an f2.4 telephoto. Both have optical image stabilization, better in low light, faster, adjustable depth of field or bokeh after you actually take the photo. And then also you can record in stereo sound. So it has 4 microphones and you can record in stereo. Your pictures should be better due to that neural engine. And then also on the front, it's got a 7 megapixel front-facing camera with in-video stabilization. So it's not optical image stabilized, but it's in video. And this one also will have the biggest battery and last up to an hour and a half longer than the previous version, or the 8 Plus. This one will only last up to about 30 minutes longer. Now, when we talk about when they're available, the pre-order is on 9/14 and they deliver, or you can pick them up at 9/21 or September 21st. They start at $999 and, as I predicted, go almost all the way to $1,500 on the XS Max with 512 gigabytes. It's a lot of money after tax. It's over $1,500, more than the base MacBook Pro, but you can pick that up in the XS Max. Now, if we talk about the XR comes in a bunch of different colors. White like this, but the frame is aluminum. So here we have stainless steel, here we have aluminum, and we have white, black, blue, yellow, coral, and product red. It will have a 6.1-inch liquid LCD display is what Apple's calling it. They redesigned the backlight so it fits better. And then also IP67, like I mentioned, but an aluminum design that actually matches the back. So if you have a yellow phone, the sides will match as yellow. And this one, like I showed you, has a single camera. but it's just as good as these and also can do portrait photos. So they're using the neural engine to do those portrait photos, and you should get really good photos. Now, the big thing with this is the battery will last 1.5 hours longer than an 8 Plus. So you've got that advantage as well. And the good thing about this one is it starts at $749 and goes to $899, but pre-orders don't start until October 19th, and then it will come out the following Friday. Now, across all three of these, none of them include the headphone adapter or fast charger in the box, and there was no mention of AirPower the entire time for wireless charging. They do all support wireless charging, though. Now we'll move on to the watch. Now, the watch was a big update. I think it didn't get as much credit as some people talked about, but as far as the watch, this is the Series 3. The Series 4 gets a little bit bigger. It has an edge display with curved edges, so it's a little bit wider and bigger. 30% larger, actually. It's thinner. It has new watch faces and things in watch OS, but now the digital crown includes haptic feedback. So when you move the crown, it will have haptic feedback. You'll feel it a little bit, and it should be a little bit nicer. Now, the back of this is going to be ceramic on all of them. They all have an S4 chip. It's a dual-core 64-bit CPU and a 2 times faster GPU. But the major thing inside here is the ECG meter, or the echocardiogram meter. So it can actually measure not just your heart rate, but actually your rhythm. So you could tell whether or not you're in sinus rhythm or AFib or VFib, which would be really bad, but it will let you know if something's going wrong, and then it will notify you of a low heart rate. It can actually send that electrocardiogram to your doctor, and it has FDA clearance. So that means it's actually a verified medical device, but it will come out a little bit later as far as that feature goes. It has Bluetooth 5.0, and then battery life is 18 hours all-day battery life, just like the Series 3, and workouts outside up to 6 hours on GPS. So that's a little bit longer than before. It comes in similar finishes, aluminum and the stainless steel, and also a gold stainless steel, but it doesn't have the ceramic one available. Maybe it'll come out later, I don't know, but currently there is no ceramic version. Finally, it has a couple new sensors in it, updated sensors that are more accurate. They can sense things like a fall. So if you fall, it can say, I think you've fallen, and maybe it needs to call SOS or some emergency services. So that will be built in as well. Of course, there's going to be new bands and cases for all of this. There's some updates for HomePod, and Apple TV only got Dolby Atmos audio support. So that's good, but no major updates there. Now, watchOS 5 and iOS 12 are coming out to the public on September 17th, so this coming Monday. And that is all of the major news across all of these devices. macOS Mojave will be out later in the month, and maybe we'll see another event from Apple since we didn't see those rumored updated iPads or rumored updated MacBooks. So that's it for the new devices. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Which one would you choose? Or are you going to stay with your old device? I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and like. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.